What made Abraham Lincoln so unstoppable? No one in the crowd that cold March morning could have imagined that the tall, awkward man stepping onto the wooden platform would one day be remembered as one of the greatest leaders in human history. His suit didn't fit quite right. His voice wasn't the booming roar expected of a statesman, and his past was not the polished path of a typical president. Before the world called him a hero, Abraham Lincoln was simply a man who had failed again and again, and yet somehow refused to stay down. The story of what made him unstoppable didn't begin in the White House. It began in a one-room wooden cabin in the wilderness, where opportunity was scarce, tragedy was common, and survival was a daily battle. Lincoln grew up with nothing except an axe, a book, and a burning sense that life had to mean more than the hardships he was born into. His childhood was rough, built on clearing forests, plowing fields, and working endlessly on frontier farms. Schooling came second, squeezed into the rare moments when he wasn't helping his father. But something in Lincoln was different. While other boys played, he read, obsessively, devouring anything he could find. The Bible, Shakespeare, law books, poetry, political speeches. He wasn't just studying words. He was studying people, power, emotion, persuasion, the architecture of the human mind. Yet reading didn't shield him from heartbreak. When Lincoln was just 9, his mother died suddenly from a deadly illness sweeping through the frontier. Her death carved a wound inside him that would shape his entire life. The understanding that the world was unforgiving, unpredictable, and desperately in need of compassion. That early grief didn't weaken him. It hardened him, sharpening his sense of empathy like a blade. As he grew older, Lincoln wasn't considered extraordinary. He failed in business twice. He lost multiple elections. He faced humiliating defeats that would have crushed the spirit of most men. Even his love life broke him. When the woman he adored died young, he fell into a darkness so deep that friends hid knives and razors from him. But even in despair, Lincoln refused to stay broken. Something inside him insisted that his voice mattered, that he had a role to play, that purpose could be found beyond pain. Each failure became a stepping stone, not a tombstone. His rise into politics wasn't powered by wealth or connections. It was powered by an ability almost no other politician had: the power to understand what people felt before they even expressed it. Lincoln listened. He observed. He absorbed anger, confusion, and fear, and turned it into calm, thoughtful persuasion. His humor disarmed enemies. His stories softened hardened hearts. Behind his jokes and gentle tone, however, was a mind that never stopped calculating, planning, and pushing forward. By the time he entered national politics, the country was tearing itself apart. The question of slavery threatened to shatter the United States. Tension boiled in every corner of the nation. Politicians who were far more experienced than Lincoln avoided the issue, fearing civil war. But Lincoln was different. He believed that slavery was not just a political problem, it was a moral wound that endangered the soul of the nation. He believed the country could not remain half slave and half free. And unlike many leaders who hid behind cautious language, Lincoln stood up and spoke the truth plainly. His speeches didn't rely on fiery emotion. They cut deeper, using logic to make the impossible seem unavoidable. The nation listened, and that frightened many. When Lincoln won the presidency in 1860, he did so without a single Southern electoral vote. The reaction was immediate. States began seceding. The country spiraled toward war. Lincoln had not even taken office, and already the country was splitting in two. When war finally came, Lincoln carried the weight of every death. He had no military experience, yet he became commander-in-chief during the bloodiest conflict in American history. Generals failed him. Battles were lost. Critics called him weak, unqualified, even dangerous. Yet he refused to crumble. Instead, he spent countless nights studying military strategy, poring over maps, and learning the art of war. He fired generals who hesitated. He rewarded those who fought fiercely. He transformed himself from a backwoods lawyer into a wartime leader through pure force of will. What made Lincoln unstoppable during the war wasn't just his determination. It was his moral clarity. When he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, he wasn't simply freeing enslaved people. He was redefining the very purpose of the war. The conflict was no longer only about saving the Union. It became a battle for the soul of humanity. Critics called it reckless. Advisors warned it was political suicide, but Lincoln believed history demanded courage. Once the proclamation was signed, there was no going back. The war became a revolution. And yet, through every victory and setback, Lincoln remained astonishingly human. He visited soldiers in hospitals. He shook hands with muddy farm boys. He read letters from mothers begging for their sons' lives. He carried these pains inside him. The war aged him rapidly. His face grew lined. His shoulders sagged. His eyes carried the weight of every battlefield. But he kept moving, because he believed the cost of giving up was far greater than the cost of fighting on. What truly set Lincoln apart was his ability to empathize with both sides, even those who hated him. He refused to demonize Southerners, insisting that they, too, were Americans struggling in a divided world. His greatest strength was not his intelligence or his bravery. It was his understanding of human nature. He knew that anger could win battles, but only compassion could rebuild a nation. That belief became clear near the end of the war, when victory was within reach. Instead of gloating or seeking revenge, Lincoln spoke of healing. He dreamed of a reunion built on mercy, not punishment. His second inaugural address captured this vision. With malice toward none, with charity for all. It was not the voice of a triumphant conqueror. It was the voice of a man determined to save a nation from its own hatred. But greatness often comes with a terrible price. While the war was ending, danger lurked in the shadows. Some feared that Lincoln's leniency would allow the South to rise again. Others believed he was destroying the country by freeing enslaved people. The hatred that surrounded him finally found a target. On a quiet evening at Ford's Theater, a single gunshot silenced the man who had carried the nation through its darkest hour. Yet even in death, Lincoln did not disappear. His ideas survived. His courage echoed across generations. His leadership became the gold standard for presidents. His struggle to balance justice and mercy became a blueprint for nations in crisis. And his belief that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things became a universal truth. So what made Abraham Lincoln unstoppable? It wasn't destiny. It wasn't luck. It wasn't privilege. It was the ability to rise every time the world tried to break him. It was the refusal to let grief turn into bitterness. It was the strength to choose compassion when vengeance was easier. It was the courage to pursue justice even when it meant risking everything. It was the relentless belief that a divided nation could become whole again. Lincoln's life was proof that greatness is not born. It is built, piece by piece, through hardship, humility, and the unwavering conviction that doing what is right is more important than doing what is easy. And long after his voice faded, the nation he fought to save continued forward, guided by the principles he died defending: unity, equality, and the unstoppable power of hope.